Welcome, everybody, to day number 5 of the 30-day Master Your Life Masterclass. I got to take a pause and a moment of silence because today, my father, the man responsible for my life, for me being here, and all of the wonderful things that I've developed because of the joyfully and responsible experience that he created for me on this planet in this time, in this lifetime, and the support he gave to establish me as the man I am. So, moment of silence for Edgar Motley. May you rest and may you continue to do phenomenal work for us in the ancestor realm. I thank you, I thank you, I thank you. And I must give also reverence to my dear mother. She would have been 92. My dad would have been 80 today, 89 today. Excuse me, he would have been 90 today. My mother would have been 92 on December 31st. And all of this work that I'm doing is because of her. And what I saw her go through, I decided that I couldn't let that happen to anyone else that on my watch if they were open and available to what it is that I was to learn and to offer. And first and foremost, I wanted to take care of myself so I wouldn't go through what she went through, the suffering and the pain and the agony of disease at the latter stages of life. You know, we all have an opportunity to live in heaven on earth, mainly through this vehicle that we call a body. That's why I'm sharing with you the opportunity for you to create a better experience, a greater quality of life in your body. So let's get on with the work. Today is day number 5. Yesterday we started talking about the spleen. Okay? Now we're going to talk further about the spleen today. I'm going to give some insights and information, but I'm also going to share with you how you can learn more about every part of your body. This is the age of technology or something, but there's a lot of technology in this age. So we must be in alignment with the time, which means we also must know how to operate those things that are available to us in the way of resources. Technological resources are literally at our fingertips. You can ask your device and get all kinds of information. Information from the Akashic records, you have to go within to learn more about your spiritual self and what happens in the other realms and in and around you environmentally. But as far as information, knowledge, it's literally at your fingertips. So, you want to know about the spleen? Ask your device. Ask it this question: what are the attributes of the spleen? So let's pull up the organ clock, and we're going to see. We're going to review what was written on the organ clock that I gathered information from. So the spleen, work and be active. This is 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Associated with mental powers, supports metabolism, converts nutrients to energy, and this is the time to continue at the early part at 9 a.m. with your day planning and so on. That's part of your activity. Then you get busy getting to work. Okay, so that is that aspect of the spleen. Let me go to what my device says. Wait a minute, wrong screen. Give me a moment here. Bear with me, everybody. You folks are live on Facebook. I apologize. This is primarily a YouTube scenario, so you're going to need to go to YouTube in order to see what it is that I'm sharing, so that you can know what I'm talking about. And as you're on YouTube, you're going to see what I'm sharing on my screen. I basically said attributes of the spleen. I asked the question, what are the attributes of the spleen? Okay, so with that, it gave a lot of information. It gave a number of websites. quite a bit of insight. So the spleen is an organ in the upper left part of the abdomen to the left of the stomach. The spleen varies in size and shape between people, but it's commonly fist-shaped, purple, and about 4 inches long. It's not too big. It's probably about the size of the fist, depending upon your hand, of course. Because the spleen is protected by the rib cage, you can't easily feel it unless you have an abnormally enlarged abdomen. We don't want that, okay? Okay, so let me scroll down a bit and let's see here. There are questions that you can show up here. What function has a spleen? What are the three? These are questions that other people ask and got responses to. What are the three functions of the spleen? What does the inflamed spleen look like? Yada 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 yada. Okay, I'm going to key in on a few of these so you can get an idea of what information you can find out about what's going on in your body. Let me say this: you don't need to know a whole lot about your body because we're talking about the spleen right now. Right now, my spleen, your spleen, if you still have it, knows its job. You could say it has a mind of its own simply because of the fact that it knows its job and it does it constantly without interruption, without pause, unless you put something in it that's going to cause some type of hesitation or stagnation. Okay? So your spleen knows its job. Your job is to give the spleen what it needs in order for it to do its job. That's how you take care of your body. So you can find out for any given organ what that organ's function is, what impairs it, what helps it to function optimally. You can go in depth and find out a lot of information, or you can just go surface level and find basic information. We're doing surface level here today, and we're doing basic information. Okay, so what are the three functions of the spleen? Clearance of microorganisms and particle antigens from the bloodstream, synthesizes immunoglobulin, Properdin, an essential component of alternate pathway of complement activation, and tufsin, TUFTSIN, an immunostimulatory tetrapeptide. That's a lot of words, ain't it, y'all? Just to say that spleen clean the blood, y'all, and it gets stuff tight and right. And removal of abnormal blood cells. Cleaning up the junk. You know, abnormal blood cells can be like old blood cells that are ready to retire. It could be mutated blood cells that are trying to turn into something else. Y'all heard about cancer? Spleen can get rid of that before it turns into cancer. Okay? So that's one job that the spleen does. That's a set of the jobs that the spleen does. Now let's go down here. What foods irritate the spleen? Listen to this. Think of the spleen as being powered by heat. Frozen food, remember I told you about drinking ice cold water? Icy drinks, cucumber, bitter and winter melon, lettuce, and grapefruit deplete the spleen's fire. Now, I'm going to pause that and tell you that, okay, if you're doing this appropriately, yeah, you can eat ice cream, or better yet, sorbet made from frozen fruit. Forget the ice cream, you don't know dairy, because as it's, you're going to find out in a moment about that. Icy drinks, drink your water room temperature. Hot or warm tea is okay, definitely. But you know, ice cold drinks, you know, some people, they can't drink water unless it's ice cold. You are messing with your spleen. And from what I said, what I read a moment ago, you're messing with its ability to cleanse the blood and keep you healthy and stimulate those immune activity. I have to look at that long word in order to get it right. Immunoglobulin and the other one with the peptides. Okay, so the spleen has fire, so it has to stay warm in order for it to do its job. Now, cucumber, bitter, winter melon, lettuce, grapefruit, those things are cool. They're cooling. When we're looking at what's going on with the body, sometimes we need cooling things if we have too much heat in the body. There's such thing as too much heat. There's such thing as too much cold. There's such thing as too much damp and too much dry. This is the way they the way they analyze the body and what's going on with it in traditional Chinese medicine. Also, that's part and parcel of in kind with the whole Ayurvedic piece. They have the Pitta, the Vata, and so on. Okay, which are correlating. Okay, so back to this written piece here. Foods that are damp, such as dairy products, refined sugars, and sweets, can also smother the digestive process. That's a serious word, y'all. Smother. Smother, not mother. That's mothering with an S. You got some mothers that smother people, so maybe they need to check their spleen action going on. And if you've been smothered by your mother, then you need to get your spleen in order too. Something to think about. Okay, so dairy products, refined sugar and sweets smother the digestive process. Can also, in other words, those other things smother the digestive process also. But you want to make sure that you're balancing adequately. Not too much heat, not too much cold, not too much dry, not too much damp. It's a balancing act. Everything you put in your mouth is going to have impact. It's going to do one of those four things. It's either going to make things damp, it's going to make things dry, it's going to make things cool, or it's going to make things hot. So you have to do work to balance that. Okay? Now, how do you heal the spleen? Let's look at that. We got here 5 tips to boost your spleen function. Number 1, the first thing it says is several sentences, a couple of sentences with a bunch of dashes. Okay. The first thing, avoid cold foods. It didn't say don't do any, it says avoid them. In other words, stay away from them, but you can have some every now and then, depending upon your situation, but you are to avoid them in abundance, especially. Y'all folks who like to eat ice cream in the middle of the night, you got cold and you got damp with that dairy. 2 aspects of smothering your spleen. Not to mention that contributes to diabetes. A lot of diabetics are diabetic because they eat ice cream at night. One of the reasons. Okay. Foods that are too raw or too cold. Okay. Now, it says excessive quantities of raw vegetables or food straight from the refrigerator. So you take your food out of the refrigerator, you let it sit, let it get room temperature. Or, if it's something that's not raw, you want to heat it up on the stove. Excessive quantities of raw vegetables. Okay, if you're grabbing that green leaf out of the garden, you don't want to eat too many of those, 1 or 2 maybe. But this is why raw food chefs actually prep raw food. They chop, they dice, they slice, they puree, and they dehydrate and all of this process. So it goes through a process. So it's not totally raw. So don't think that you can't eat processed raw foods from restaurants and that you do in your kitchen yourself, or have yourself. Okay. So straight from the refrigerator, which snuff out digestive fire, should be avoided. So you don't want stuff that's going to put out the fire. The abdomen region is known as the furnace in Asian culture because it has heat in order to process your food that you put in your body. It says number 2, avoid sugar and fat. Don't need to talk a whole lot about that. You eat too much fat, you're gonna get fat. You're gonna have fat around your organs, it's gonna tax it, and you're just gonna have a fatty mess. Avoid sugar. Sugar turns to alcohol in the body. Alcohol turns to vinegar. And sugar everything on that spectrum, from processed carbohydrates to processed refined sugar to alcohol to vinegar, all 4 of those things are very dehydrating and they demineralize the body. Okay? They break down tissue to the point where it's basically just disintegrating. And it sets up an opportunity for cancer to grow. Remember I told you about the spleen, getting rid of those warped or blood cells that are not functioning abnormally, or whatever you want to call it. Spleen gets rid of those. You got sugar in there, it's going to stop the spleen from doing that. You're going to wind up potentially with some type of cancerous issue. Or if you have a cancer issue, You're going to feed that cancer if you're feeding it with that sugar and so on. Okay. Number 3, avoid erratic eating patterns. In other words, you got to be consistent with high quality, nutrient dense food on a regular basis. Food has 2 primary purposes based upon my interpretation. One is to nourish, 2 is to cleanse. So you got to keep that process going. You got to keep it moving, keep it going, keep it flowing. So you got to consistently do these things. Number 4, eat more whole grain and pulses. Eat more if you're not eating enough, because these other things are saying that you're not eating enough, so you need to eat more. What are whole grains and pulses? Your brown rice, not your white rice. You don't want things that so far as refined and denatured and what have you, that they're not beneficial to you. Your brown, red, and black rice, your wild rice, your legumes, your peas and beans, you know, have those things, and you need to make sure you're consuming them in the right fashion. When we get into the food prep scenario, I might do a scenario on beans and what have you. Number 5, remember to unwind. Some of y'all worry too much. You're uptight. You need to unwind. You got to let loose. You got to relax in order for that spleen to function optimally. Because if you're up here worrying about this, worrying about that, thinking about this, thinking about that, your spleen can't relax. You will not relax. Your stress levels up here. You're doing shallow breathing and what have you. You're not taking advantage of that breath master technique that I shared with you yesterday. Go back to that video. Also, let me do a quick little sidebar. By the way, on Wednesday afternoon, I'm doing a 15-minute breath fire circle. So you want to be there. You want to get that. It'll be posted here on Facebook and so on, and on YouTube, so you can view it later if you like. Okay, that's enough of that share. I'm going to back away from this share, and we're going to keep it moving, keep it going, keep it flowing. I know I've given you quite a bit of information about the spleen, and that was a lesson in how to find information about a given organ. Remember, we have the organ clock. Tomorrow and the next day, we're going to talk about the heart. And let me say that, okay, we're talking 360, 24 hours in a day. We've done 1 quadrant so far, 5 to 11. Next, we're going to do 12 to what? Excuse me, 11 to 11. I got to do my fingers, y'all. Pardon me. 11 to 1, 1 to 3, 3 to 5. And that will give us the half of the day. So we'll get started on that tomorrow. So I put up a post on Instagram and on Facebook about my brand new shiny custom YouTube link. That brand new shiny custom YouTube link is http://youtube.com/C for custom /Breath Master Aaron Motley. It's me, y'all. So share that link with your friends. Have them come here and learn about their body and learn how to maintain their body, because it's their job to maintain their body. You got somebody asking you a question about, hey man, what's going on with my whatever, they fill in the blank. I don't know what's happening with my this. I don't know what's happening with that. I don't know why this. I don't know why that. I can't. What's going on? I got to wait till the doctor tell me. No, you don't. No, you don't. Find out for yourself. Information is at your fingertips now. Get that information. Get your body healthy. Take care of you. I love you. Do you love you? If you love you as much as I love me, you would take care of your body. You would share this with any and everybody, just like I'm sharing with any and everybody else, because I love you. I love healthy people. One of the most disheartening things as a holistic health consultant is having people drop their woes on you and not really take care of their body. And then you have to sit there and witness what you know can be turned around with simplicity. So anyway, enough of my, I'm going to unwind. Don't want to jack my spleen up in this process, okay? So, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share, share, share. Keep it moving, keep it going, keep it flowing. Thank you all so much for joining me, for allowing me into your space, allowing me to impart some of my knowledge and share my experiences with you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Again, this is a tribute to my mother, an honor and reverence to her and her giving me life and her life. This is to make sure that her living and her suffering was not in vain. This is for my father who helped my mother in giving me life, and for each and every one of you. Again, a humble thank you. I'm out.